Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Hello and welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections. I'm your host, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce, Chad Amond. On today's show, we are delighted to have an organization that has incredible impact in our community, the Westmoreland County Food Bank. Joining us today is Jen Miller. Jen is the Director of Development for the Food Bank, but she also has two important people that are volunteering as co-chairs of a program called the Empty Food Bowl. And glad to have you all on the show. Jen, let's start us off with a little bit about what the food bank does and what the impact is in Westmoreland County.
Sure. Thanks for having us, Chad. The Westmoreland County Food Bank is physically located in Delmont, but we have pantry sites all over Westmoreland County. In fact, 43 food pantries and an additional on-site feeding programs and drop-in centers and such. The Westmoreland County Food Bank serves approximately around 7,000 or more households each and every month, which ends up being about 16,000 people, give or take a few here or there. It does fluctuate. We also, we provide the regular food box, which is a monthly food box, as well as several specialty programs, including the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, which is a senior box, as well as the backpack program, Summer Food Service Program, the Operation Fresh Express Program, and SNAP Outreach, just to name a few. So we do a lot out there.
You're serving 16,000 people that are...
They're food insecure.
Food insecure.
Yes.
I was going to say malnourished, but that's
Yes.
probably not the right word. But
food insecure, they have to be income eligible. So that's a lot of people in Westmoreland County. And a lot of times people don't think that there are hungry people in Westmoreland County, but there are.
Jen, how do you define food insecure? I'm just thinking for the listeners, there's someone out there and saying, well, what is food? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
Sure.
Right? Food
insecurity means not knowing where your next meal is coming from. So you open up the refrigerator and say, yeah, I might have a few odds and ends here, but I don't have enough of a meal to feed my family. Right. And unfortunately, that's all too regular here in Westmoreland County.
Well, and so one of the ways that you're trying to solve the food insecurity is with a program called the Empty Food Bowl. And so Tim Piper is a co-chair, and Crystal Szogi is the other co-chair. Tim, let's get a little bit about your background and how did you get involved with the Empty Food Bowl?
Actually, I was the Empty Bowl program was something started by my mom about 10 years ago. It was the result of a promise she made to herself when she was on the heart transplant list that if she ever got her heart transplant, that she would find something charitable to do to give back to the community that helped raise her and support her throughout the years. I was born in Irwin. Class 97 at Norwin, and my mom grew up there as well, so we have very strong ties to Westmoreland County, and after 6 years or 7 years of doing Empty Bowl herself, she wanted to just be a retired person finally, and was hoping that someone would take over, and thankfully Crystal and I managed to keep the program going for a few years after that as well. So I don't actually live in the county anymore. I live up in Dormont, and I work for an electricity company downtown. But obviously, having lived here for most of my life, it's still a very important cause, I think, to me.
Crystal, give us a little bit about your background and how did you get involved with the Empty Food Bowl?
Sure. I actually grew up in New York State, but ended up coming to Pennsylvania for college. And kind of found my way to Westmoreland County, and also ultimately through a series of events. And I befriended Tim, which was one of the best things to happen to me. And we became great best friends. And he, would invite me to tag along to festivals where we would just be selling extra bowls from the event. I just thought that was fun to hang around food and wine festivals and selling bowls. And then about 3 years ago, he asked me to help put together the auction baskets that we have at our event. And I just got sucked into that. And had all kinds of ideas for him, so he made me co-chair.
Yeah, right. Well, so Tim, you gave a little bit of a background of how it all started, but let's get a little bit more in depth. How the Empty Food Bowl started.
Sure. Actually, Empty Bowl is sort of a national, I guess I'd call it a grassroots campaign that's offered up by many potters and school districts and other individuals across the country. I believe it was started by a local potter, and I want to say in Colorado or Oregon. It was in the north or northwest, who decided to offer up these bowls as sort of a symbol of the food insecurity, as Jen was talking about in his part of town. And he got some restaurants to donate some soup, and they just put together a very small event. And just that particular part of it is something that sort of sticks with all the Empty Bowl campaigns across the country. My mom picked it because she knows that she knows people in her life that have had trouble with having food from week to week, and actually close friends that have had to use the food bank in the past. And she knew it was very important to her that she tried to give back in that way. So, we sort of spun it our own way. The first Empty Bowl, and I was unfortunately out of town when it happened, was actually just a very small event. All they had was soup and some bowls, I believe, by 4 or 5 districts, and they raised about $3,000.
When you say districts, you mean
school
districts,
yeah.
Okay.
There was actually today there's 7 or 8 participating school districts, and as well as 2 colleges, Seton Hill and St. Vincent. Have programs that are giving us bowls, as well as Crafty Shack, which is one of our potters from the very beginning. Carrie Schramm has been great in promoting this event and making sure some bowls are made from other people besides school districts.
So when you say the bowls, they are actually making physical bowls out of pottery. People that are making the bowls.
Art classes. They'll hand paint the bowls. They'll if they have the equipment, they'll fire them at the school or at a local potter. They're always painted and very decorative. As Crystal will tell you, we've seen all kinds of bowls. Like there's no 2 of the same. So it's very fun to see what people try to come up with, like creative minds of students for sure.
Well, I'm curious about that, Crystal. Let's hear about some of the decor on the bowls.
Oh gosh, yes. I always say there's a bowl for everyone. You just don't know what somebody's going to pick out, but. I mean, these are being made by kids from elementary school to high schoolers to adults. So you get pretty flowers, you get rockets, you get little animals kind of mounted to the side of the bowl, sort of interesting spikes and points and curves. So all kinds of colors, and it's cute. It's really creative. We kind of get a chuckle out of looking at all the bowls because they're all unique.
So this probably is an arts endeavor for the kids in the high schools and the colleges as well, right? Because they get a chance to make something that they might not normally make, right? Yeah,
and we get a lot of kids and their parents coming around, just kind of actually looking for their bowl or remembering that they made a bowl for this event. And we have even art teachers who make what we call special finds, which are just your bigger, super quality bowls. So we get all kinds, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see what the kids come up with. It is very creative.
So was it, I think we talked about it, it started at the school districts potentially, right? But was it always at Hempfield School District, or what were the other school districts that are participating?
Well, actually, the first Empty Bowl event and actually through the 6th Empty Bowl event were all held at St. Bruno's Church in their gathering space below the church. And it was convenient because we held the event right after service let out, so everyone that went to Mass would just head down underground and get some soup from us as well. And we did that. We held it there for the first 6 years, and the 7th year we tried it at Westmoreland County Community College, actually, which is a very unique space compared to what we're used to. Like St. Bruno's and typical cafeterias are very wide open spaces, and you can sort of, have everything in one spot. And the college was more cordoned off. There was just different rooms for each activity. And when I took over, I reached out to Hempfield. My dad was actually a teacher there for most of my life. He taught math, which is probably how I ended up with a math degree. And he was
coincidence. Right?
Yeah, it's just coincidence. He was familiar with the superintendent and sort of the policies there, and he thought it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to reach out. And they were very accommodating. We actually do get the space for free, which is something that they don't typically offer for us. And it's an enormous space. Like we've never had as much.
So
space
where do you do it? In Founders Hall or Commissioners Hall?
It's in the cafeteria.
Oh, in the cafeteria. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we actually need it in the cafeteria. We need a space that has a kitchen, since the soups are all donated on Friday and by the restaurants, and we have to repack them at the food bank into takeout containers and reheatable bags. And both of those things are sold at the event. Excuse me. But we need the kitchen in order to reheat the soups and prep. We also have peanut butter and jelly for any kid that tags along that doesn't want fancy soup. So kitchen is integral, and that's why the cafeteria works out so well for us.
So walk me through the event, Crystal. What does the event involve? I mean, is there entertainment? Is it just sit down and have a bowl of soup and give some donation to the food bank, or is it like a fun, crazy event?
It's a fun time. People can come at the door. You can buy your ticket at the door. It's $15 cash or check. But I would bring extra money because we do have a lot of auction baskets and from businesses around the county that have donated to us. The Shriner clowns come and they'll make animal balloons for the little ones and make some jokes. And of course we've got the soup that you can eat there. We've got various bands that come. Stage Right gives a performance. They're kind of a community theater musical group in the area. Acoustical Bruce is always willing to perform at our event. We have Adam Fitz this year, who I met at an Art on Tap event. So yeah, we have performers, we've got music, we've got clowns, we've got auction baskets, we've got 50-50. So we have a lot of chances to have fun, but also raise money for the food bank because all the proceeds are going to go right to the food bank.
Well, it certainly sounds like a fun time. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, president of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. Today we're talking with the Westmoreland County Food Bank, and specifically a program that is called the Empty Food Bowl. We talked about the Empty Food Bowl for all this time, but we didn't talk about what the date is. What is the date of the event?
It is Sunday, March 4th from 11 to 4 at Hempfield High School cafeteria. So that's less than a week away. So we'd love to have everybody come on out and support us.
So how does a listener out there that says, "Hey, I want to take my family to this event. I'm going to get great soup. I'm going to get a cool bowl. I'm probably going to get a balloon from the Shriner clowns." How do they sign up? Do they just walk in, or do they need to register in advance?
No, we have ticket sales at the door. There's no need to register or anything like that. We anticipate we'll have plenty of space for anyone that decides to show up then. We did have online sales up through today, so I don't know why I'm mentioning it now, since you probably can't buy them online anymore. But it's the same price either way. And actually, if you are a student in a school district or a faculty member and you bring your faculty ID or school ID, we'll give you a $5 discount, so you can get in for $10 instead of $15.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We're going to be right back after these messages to talk a little bit more in depth about the Empty Food Bowl and the Westmoreland County Food Bank. Thanks for listening.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Welcome back. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, president of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. Today we're talking with some volunteers, co-chairs of the Empty Bowl program for the Westmoreland County Food Bank, Tim Piper and Crystal Szogi. They are the co-chairs. We also have in the studio Jen Miller, who is the Director of Development for the Westmoreland County Food Bank. When we went to break, we were talking about that this show is going to air, I do believe, the day of the event, which is going to be March 4th from 11 to 4. So if you're listening in the morning, make sure that you clear your calendar and plan to be at Hempfield High School from 11 to 4 on Sunday, March 4th. But you're listening to the show and you're understanding what the Empty Bowl does for our community to raise funds for the Westmoreland County Food Bank. Jen had suggested or said that there are 16,000 people each month that are food insecure that are being served by the food bank. Crystal and Tim, tell us a little bit about how much time you put into this and how you need more volunteers.
Sure. Tim and I do have full-time jobs, so sometimes we are taking time off work to try to get things done for the Empty Bowl event. Usually I would say December through the event feels like we have 2 jobs. I'm sending out, probably hundreds of messages and emails asking businesses in the county for donations for auctions. We're contacting restaurants for soup donations, but then of course I'm driving around picking up all the auction items. We do have to pick up the soup ourselves on March 2nd, before the event. Of course, we need help at the event, running the kitchen, selling the bowls, selling raffle tickets. So it does end up being a lot of a time commitment, and we would certainly love people who could join our team, and I think we could definitely use some people who could solicit donations from parts of the county that we have trouble reaching, just because we can't physically canvass the whole county, or even with email it's hard for me to reach out to every business in the county and see what they want to get involved in and what they want to donate. So the more help the better.
So if there's somebody listening to the program and they're saying, wow, this is a really cool event, I would like to be a part of it, how would they join in? Is that something that Tim, you and Crystal work out, or is that something that they need to connect with the food bank directly?
Actually, if they go to emptybowlwestmoreland.com, or if they email us at info@emptybowlwestmoreland.com. Both ways there's a contact us form on our site if you're interested in volunteering. As we probably mentioned, the event is completely volunteer driven, and all the money goes straight to the food bank. It has been a great way. Actually, we've seen a lot of Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops assist us because they have some community service requirements, and we're happy to help out with that in any way we can. But those 2 ways, both of those contacts go straight to either Crystal or I, and we would be happy. Like we're not going to turn anybody down for any volunteer work. And as a lot of people might not be aware, the event, while it is just on Sunday for 5 hours, we have basically the entire day Saturday is spent setting up the kitchen, setting up the floor space, getting all the signs hung up. And Friday, as Crystal mentioned, we have to pick up all the soups, get it repackaged into the right containers and onto the food bank truck. So all those things require volunteers as well, which we always seem to be lacking in just a little bit each year. So even if you aren't able to help out volunteering at this event, we would absolutely love to have you for future ones.
Well, and I think that one of the things that will always help is to give a shout out to some of those restaurants and caterers that are donating the food, because whenever you have all of those local businesses that are jumping on board and saying, hey, we're going to help you out, why don't you give a shout out to some of those generous local businesses?
Sure. Actually, the one I always like to point out first is Panera Bread, which is obviously a franchise, but they have been helping us out with soup since the very first event. And not only do they give us soup, that they also give us the large portion of the bread that we hand out in addition to the soup. So a Friday morning, we'll be picking up 2 different kinds of soup and probably 15 loaves of bread. as well as one of our very fun auction items, which is free bread every week for a year. Is actually something my mom always ends up bidding on and winning, so so it doesn't last very long. Additionally, Atria's is one of the new ones. They've been giving for about 2 or 3 years. Greensburg Country Club, Fontana's, Gianelli's too. Even way out in Dunbar, Yield Inn out in Dunbar makes this fantastic potato pepperoni soup every year for us. There's places in Mount Pleasant like Leo and Sons and Grill 31. Additionally, in Irwin, Cafe Supreme, Colonial Grill. We have a few more franchises this year. We're getting Chili's to participate this year. And Eaton Park always gives us chili and as many smiley cookies as we can handle. So, and additionally, one of the other interesting ones is the Central Westmoreland Technology and Career Center. They actually have their students make us soup and bread each year, and I believe this year they're making a cold strawberry soup, which is the first cold soup we've ever served.
Oh,
so
great!
We'll see how that goes. But Christy Parks over there has again been a long-time assistant for us at Empty Bowl.
Well, I think that they deserve that shout out because the local businesses that are they're in business for profitable enterprises, and we see so many times with the chamber that how many businesses that are just giving back to the community. So they deserve that. One of the other things that I guess we have to ask is how much does this generate for the food bank each year? Tim, you're on the hot seat, right?
So I think I said earlier the very first event probably raised about $3,000. But when we started adding in auction baskets and raffles and 50/50s, and we increased entertainment. Stage Right actually is my uncle and aunt run that production company, so they were always happy to perform. But as we branched out and got more entertainment, we brought in more patrons as well. And we aim for about $10,000 at each event. Obviously, some years we've gotten way more than that. I think overall we've already been over $130,000 donated to the food bank over these first 9 years.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, president of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. We're talking with the Westmoreland County Food Bank, specifically a program and an event that they offer called Empty Bowl. Empty Bowl is going to occur on Sunday, March the 4th from 11 to 4 at Hempfield High School. If you're interested in visiting and participating in the event, it's $15 at the door, correct, lady?
Yeah, you
Krista?
got it. $15 at the door, $10 if you have a student or teacher ID. And
bring a little bit more cash because there's auction items. What are some of the auction items and the gift baskets that are going to be offered?
Well, sure. I spend a lot of time kind of going around, like I said, as far and wide as I can to request donations. And I'm a big fan of building partnerships in the community too. So I've reached out to the Greensburg Art Center, the Westmoreland Museum of American Art. Some of our soup donors like Jay Corks donate soup and gift cards. Sundog will also donate soup and gift cards. I have salons like Alluring in Murraysville who always give right away as soon as I ask. We actually have a Facebook page, Westmoreland County Empty Bowl, and I've been very diligently taking pictures of all the items that I've been receiving for the auctions, and you're welcome to check that out on Facebook and see all the posts of all the items that we get. The pens give us gear to raffle off. We get baskets of candy. This year we're actually going to have a special auction item. The Omni Hotel in Bedford Springs gave us a night stay with brunch the next morning.
Wow, that's
so
great.
That's going to be excellent. Kennywood gives us tickets. Fort Ligonier gives us tickets. We have, like I said, a lot of restaurant cards. I have a coworker who always donates signed Steeler gear that he has collected. So from his own personal collection, he donates all kinds of signed Steelers paraphernalia. And he's a big supporter. We have adult coloring books and supplies and just all kinds of fun things. Penelope's year after year in downtown Greensburg always gives. Artisans of Hands and Heart always gives. We have just people in the public who create their own baskets of, if you're ready for summer, some summer gear and goggles and swim gear for the kids, all kinds of stuff. So I'll be bidding on it too.
So there's no lack of cool stuff to bid on.
Yeah.
And when you go to the Empty Bowl program, the event, do you get the bowl?
Yes, you get
to
pick,
keep your bowl.
You get to pick a bowl that suits you, and there's, like we've said before, there's all kinds. There's a bowl for everybody.
Yeah, right. So how many people typically attend the event?
We've had anywhere from 300 to 800 patrons, sometimes way more. Actually, weather seems to play a big factor in how many people attend. The event is from 11 to 4, but we usually have a really big rush from 11 to 1:30 or so. Actually, this is our first year doing it at 11 o'clock. We usually get a big rush for the first few hours, and it sort of tails off. But you're welcome to come anytime. Obviously, we don't expect you to sit there for 5 hours and eat soup. So you can show up at 2 and grab a bowl or not. But we aim for 500 to 700 people.
Well, so if obviously from year to year you're having maybe 800 bowls, but what if there is only 500 or 600 people that show up? What do you do with the empty bowls?
Well, this is exactly how Tim got me involved, because we'll go to festivals throughout the year, such as Delmont Apple and Arts Fest. We'll go to the Green Dance Fall Festival in October, and we'll set up a table, and people can buy bowls there if they missed out on the event. So they can still kind of find their own personal bowl.
I know she's sitting here, she's standing here in the studio, and she's excited because you have 2 volunteers that are driving an important event for the Westmoreland County Food Bank that serves 16,000 people each month. Jen, tell us a little bit about what this has as an impact for the food bank.
It's an amazing impact, Chad. You know, when Karen Piper contacted me 10 years ago, we had just stopped doing special event fundraising, because it does take a lot of time, as Tim and Crystal both said, to do something like this. And basically, when you do run a fundraiser, a lot of times you're not making any money. It's just outreach. And not that that's a bad thing, but it does take a lot of time and a lot of overhead to do that. So when Karen contacted me, I said, well, we're not doing special events fundraising. She said, oh, honey, I don't want you to do it. I'm doing it. And I said, oh, okay. So, and such was the relationship was born. And I consider the Pipers very, very good friends, not only just to the food bank, but to me as well. Very seldom do you get a fundraising event that's 100% volunteer driven. And, yes, we do allow them to use our space, and yes, we do allow them to use our trucks. And I do help out with a few things here and there just as a liaison for them to get things moving. But, that money coming in is 100% clear. So for every dollar that's donated, the food bank is actually able to buy $10 worth of food. So no matter what they make, if they make $10,000, there's $100,000 worth of food that we can purchase.
Right.
And that's because of our buying power. So it does make a tremendous impact. So every $15 donation that you make when you walk into that door to get a meager meal of soup and bread, and that's what it's supposed to symbolize, is what our consumers do realize when they open their cupboard doors and all they do have is a can of soup. It's just a meager meal, but that money goes a long way to make sure that they don't have to realize what a meager meal looks like.
Wow, an amazing event. You are definitely all having an impact on Westmoreland County. Tim Piper, Crystal Szogi, Jen Miller, your work is very important. You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you're interested in attending the Empty Bowl program that is going to occur on Sunday, March the 4th, from 11 to 4 at Hempfield High School. It's $15 to get in. It's $10 if you're a student or have a teacher ID. But make sure you bring some other money, because there are obviously a lot of auction items and great prizes to win. You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Thank you very much for the work that you're doing, Tim, Crystal, and Jen. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having us on here and sharing the event. And we definitely would love to see everybody support the community.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.